This is the Transformers Generations Studio Series 86 figure number 21 from the Transformers the movie way back in 1986. We have Commander Class Ultra Magnus. Fantastic box art all around. Here's the Photoshop image. Wow, lots of features. Amazing looking Ultra Magnus. This was probably the figure I was most excited to get out of all the reveals at San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm so glad I have it. Cannot wait to show this figure off for you guys. I picked up this figure from Robo. Let's get this bad boy out of the box. And here is the Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus out of the box, and boy oh boy, this is how you do the Commander of the Autobots as a Commander Class. So fitting for somebody of his stature. This figure is just truly amazing. I think Hasbro nailed it with this one. They really hit it out of the ballpark, and I'm trying to stop myself from gushing too much, but it really is an amazing figure. I tried to set my hopes and expectations not too high because, you know, it's Hasbro and Takara Tomy, but this one's actually pretty good. I mean, come on, look at this guy. If this doesn't bring you nostalgia from the 80s, I don't know what will. I mean, oh my goodness. There's hardly any hollow space. There's very solid limbs, very little kibble. I mean, come on. This is as good as it gets, folks. And I'm so glad they did a Studio Series version of this character. They put a lot of love, a lot of effort into this. And surprisingly, I think they had a lot of budget for this figure. Let's take a closer look at the details of this new Ultra Magnus figure. So here are all the accessories and blast effects that came with this figure. He did come in a diorama. We'll show that off in the end, but he came with a bunch of blast effects, which is exactly the same amount of blast effects that we got with Omega Supreme. You can put them all together and form a huge blast effect, like a rocket blast, plus two others, which you can put on either of the blasters. We can also put them here. We'll show that off later in the end. But yeah, it's exactly the same one we got with Ultra Magnus, just remolded in a more pale yellow-orange plastic and painted differently in gray smoke. So that's that. He does come with two blasters. Both are done in clear plastic. That is interesting. I honestly thought they would just do some gray plastic, but it's clear plastic. Very curious. They've painted it in this pink. There's a amethyst hue about this silver paint. It's really nice. It comes across as a very subdued type of silver, so it's very nice. They also painted the handle white. And it's a very solid pieces of plastic. It comes with the iconic shoulder-mounted rocket launchers. You can obviously unpeg them. And what's great about this is they're not rocket firing, but you can remove the tip of the rocket. So, and if you wanted to, you can put one of the blast effects onto the rocket launcher as well. But sadly, it's a solid peg, so you'll need to put something like this and maybe attach it there. I thought that was pretty cool. That's a neat little feature you can do. They've been doing this with a lot of the G.I. Joe Classified series figures. You can put the blast effect in between the rocket and the rocket launcher, so you can have the rocket actually launching. Yeah, pretty neat. Okay, in terms of the details of the figure, I mean, come on. As I showed you guys earlier, so solid, very little kibble. You got all the aesthetic that makes him Ultra Magnus, down to his big feet. You got the arms, the shoulders, these sort of pauldrons. I mean, really nice. You get that head sculpt that's pretty accurate. I mean, I think it's both toy and cartoon accurate at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but a little bit stylized because there's a lot of panels here and there, sculpting here and there. It does come with some light piping as well. Very nice light piping. You got a clear, white, clear translucent plastic at the back and blue translucent plastic for the eyes. So you can put a light on it and give it some light piping. The antennae, they are removable. They actually come removed, and you have to assemble them when you get them out of the packaging. Okay, let's get articulation out of the way, because that's one of the point of contentions for this figure. A lot of people were complaining that the articulation wasn't as tight, but on my copy they're pretty tight, and I think I got lucky. So the neck is on a ball joint. There's a ball joint up top, and there's a hinge that allows you to move the neck up and down, give you a lot of dynamic expression. He's got a waist swivel, tight on mine. The hips, if you move the skirts off to the side, they do the splits. They're on hinges. A little bit ratcheting. I'm not sure if this is the standard tightness of the ratchet. I'm sure there's a fix for it, but it's not super loose. As you can see, the leg, it'll hold up the leg, but it's not super tight. You get a thigh swivel, ratcheting hinge knees. The feet, they have the rocker tilt. Now the shoulders, this is what collectors were complaining. There's very tight ratcheting joints that allow you to move it, rotate it 360, forward and backward. But the hinge that lifts the shoulder up, for some copies, they were a little bit loose. And if he held the gun, maybe with some blast effects, let's see if we can... people were complaining that the arm just flopped. Yeah, I get that sometimes, but I was able to pose him with the gun and the blast effects and early in the video, and he kind of holds it, but after a while it's just gonna drop, and that is a shame. Without the blast effects, yeah, he can hold the gun, stay in a upright position. Yeah, but you add a little bit more weight and that thing's gonna go down. It's a shame. Maybe, I don't know how they could have tightened that, maybe added a pseudo ratchet joint right there. But it is a shame. I don't know how to fix that though, because it's on a rivet, on a pin. Okay, the bicep is on a swivel. You get ratcheting elbows, the wrists are on swivels, and because it is a commander class figure, you've got articulated fingers. The thumb does not move, but the other digits of the fingers, they do move. So you get the first and the second digit. Same thing here, but the last three fingers they move simultaneously, they're connected. Only the index finger is separated. These things are slowly becoming mini masterpiece figures, and that's a good thing. I mean, they're mainline figures, but the level of engineering and detail is already bordering on a masterpiece type of figure. Now here he is with a couple of Junkions, also from the Studio Series 86 line. I don't have them here just for comparisons. I'm here so that we can sort of get a little bit of nostalgia. In the movie, if you remember, he got decimated by Galvatron because he was trying to open the Matrix at the wrong time, and he was torn apart. And you can recreate that scene because his limbs have sort of mini Combiner Wars ports. Now I say Combiner Wars is because the engineering that they used to have the limbs detachable is very similar and akin to the Combiner Wars pegs. They're smaller. I don't think you can fit actual Combiner Wars figures onto him, but there's a spring-loaded tab right here. You just swing it or push it down and you'll be able to remove his limbs. His legs, they are removable. That. And the arms, you gotta swing the sort of arms outward, backwards, and that will reveal the Combiner War peg. You just slide it off, and that'll allow you to remove the arms. So do it on the other side as well. Okay, and yeah, if you remember, they used some sort of crazy Junkion glue that allowed them to restore and resurrect Ultra Magnus, because they they used some super glue or something like that. That's how I remember it on the cartoon. I tried to rewatch it, and they did sort of, I forgot what the term they used. Super glue, combine, Ultra Magnus fixed again, something like that. But yeah, so it is possible to recreate that. This wasn't entirely necessary. I mean, it's not part of transformation or anything like that. They really intentionally did this so that you could recreate the scene. You know how Hasbro has recently gotten a penchant for all these death scenes, especially with the buzzworthy Bumblebee 2-pack of Ironhide and Prowl. So now I guess they allow you to recreate that death scene of Ultra Magnus and Resurrection scene, I suppose. So it's not bad. It's not needed, really. If they didn't have this, it wouldn't diminish my appreciation of the figure. But the fact that they have it actually is pretty cool. So one final gimmick for this figure before we move on to comparisons. He does have the Matrix of Leadership, a very tiny Matrix of Leadership, because I think they wanted to keep it in scale with the Matrix that came with Optimus Prime from the other generations line, like Earthrise and Kingdom. So it is tiny for him, and I guess they wanted it to be the same. So he can barely hold it. He can hold it with his index fingers. Light our darkest hour, open, damn it. So it's possible for him to kind of hold it, but not really. It is annoying to get him into that pose, that position. But he does have a chamber for this Matrix of Leadership, and it's right here in his chest cavity. And it's pretty cool. You lift up the center, the T-piece, the T-bar, and out pops these panels on springs. I thought that was pretty cool. That wasn't necessary, but they added that as sort of, because it is a premium figure, and that's like a premium gimmick. And you can put the Matrix, the instructions tell you to put it this way, although I think it should be like this. It looks better this way, but it's a little tight. But the instructions clearly say you put it this way. So we're gonna follow the instructions and put it that way. And they're on mini springs, and my biggest fear about this is these springs are gonna weaken over time, and you're not gonna get the same effect. I'm happy we have it, but it's totally unnecessary in my opinion. But I'm glad they put it, so that's pretty neat. So he gets it, and yeah. Okay, so that's cool. It's a nice, tight, snug fit. You get to see the Matrix through those translucent, clear plastic. Head to toe, or about the tip of the horns to his toes. The figure stands at about 23 1/4 centimeters tall, or about 9 1/8 inches tall. And for comparisons, here he is with fellow Commander class figure Jetfire or Skyfire. Leader class Studio Series 86 Grimlock. I was under the impression the Dinobots were bigger than Ultra Magnus, but Hasbro and Takara have always postured that the Studio Series figures were all about scale. So I'm gonna say they got this one right. I'm gonna trust Hasbro and Takara and say that I think they got the scale right, despite Dinobots looking bigger in the cartoon. With his arch rival or nemesis, leader class Galvatron, with Studio Series Voyager class Hot Rod, and with the Kingdom Commander class Rodimus Prime, with the War for Cybertron trilogy Earthrise or Kingdom Optimus Prime. This is a leader class. With the success of this new Ultra Magnus figure, might possibly have a Commander class Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime in the works. I'm hoping for that one. I will totally eat that up if they have a Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime as a Commander class. In fact, that a leader class would be great, but I think we deserve a Commander class, a new mold for Optimus Prime. With the leader class War for Cybertron trilogy Kingdom Ultra Magnus, for the longest time this has been the generation styled G1 Ultra Magnus for a lot of collectors, but obviously this is the superior figure. This figure has been dethroned. No contest. This one is the new updated G1 styled generations Ultra Magnus, and sadly I'm gonna have to let this one go. maybe super cheap. I don't think anybody's going to be willing to pay full price for this figure. But yeah, he had a good run. He's great in all aspects, but he's the new Ultra Magnus. And the only thing I'm going to say that he does better is he's got the small robot. And this one doesn't have the small robot, which is staple to the G1 toy. It wasn't in the cartoon, so Series 86 figures tend to be more cartoon accurate, so I totally get that why they didn't put the small white robot, because that never appeared in the cartoon. But the toy had that small robot, and that's what this toy had. That's what this figure has. And finally, speaking of the G1 Ultra Magnus toy that actually had that white robot, white colored Optimus Prime figure, here he is with my beat up vintage G1 Ultra Magnus. And you know what's uncanny about this new figure is it's almost exactly the same height with the original G1 Ultra Magnus. How crazy is that? And a lot of you people, a lot of you new collectors, the young kids nowadays will think that this thing is just trash. I mean, compared to this, yeah, obviously, but back in the 80s, man, this was everything. This is one of my childhood toys, one of my favorite toys. I couldn't get an Optimus Prime when I was a kid, and Ultra Magnus was the next best thing. So my mom, I think my dad, was it my uncle, whatever the case, I got this as a kid. I think I was like 12 years old or like 10 years old, and this was everything. I mean, I brought this figure along with me. I played with it so much. Obviously, you can see how badly how bad the shape and condition of this figure is, but you can conversely see what a great childhood I had just looking at this toy. I mean, look at that. Look how far Ultra Magnus has come since his G1 days. I mean, this was a lot of fun back in the day, but I can tell you right now, this figure is a lot more fun now. So, transformation, it's a little involved. It can be tedious at times, but if you do everything properly, it can be very satisfying. There are two main issues with the transformation. The first one are the knees. These two horrible joints right here, very tight, very difficult to transform. We'll show that off later. And then how you assemble the white truck cab. You know, in the old G1 toy, Ultra Magnus had a small white robot that turned into a cab, and here in this figure the cab is sort of like a jigsaw puzzle that you have to put together. So those two are the main issues of transformation. Not that big of a deal, but it can be a very cumbersome experience for doing it the first time. So the weapons will go off to the side. We'll put them there. We'll use them later. Okay, first you fold the head back like that, and then we probably should do the arms first. Go ahead and unpeg, fold out. Make sure when you slide down these panels, you don't go over these pegs right here. You go on top of them, and you fold them up like that. So instead of just sliding them down, you go and fold them down, up, and around the fists like that. Okay, go ahead and unpeg these tabs right here. These are the only soft, these plastic bits right here that form the hinges. Those are the only soft plastic, but they're not horribly cheap. They're okay. Okay, you want to go ahead and split this up. You're going to put them back together. So just fold up the matrix chamber, fold it over his head, and then what you want to do is you want to fold up and unpeg the backpack like that. And this panel right here is going to go ahead and cover that head sculpt. Now this is where the complications arise, okay? What you want to do is you want to open up this panel right here. Then this panel right here is going to open up, fold down the wheels, and you can see where this thing is going. It's kind of like a box puzzle, which is, if it's the first time you're doing it, it can be very annoying. So what you want to do is the top part is on a double hinge. Go ahead and set that up so that it's over these flaps right here. And then you fold and, okay, fold the smokestacks up. This panel right here is going to stay right there. And then you're just going to tab the front section of the cab. Go ahead and fold the side sections. And they're also on double hinges. Just Oh, this is the annoying bit, I swear. You know, the whole engineering is sound. I just wish they could have put more slots and grooves and pegs so that when you fold everything, everything just comes together nicely instead of you just, you know, trying to figure out where the hinges go, where the panels go. Yeah, it's a little annoying the first time you do it, but once you get the hang of it, there you go. Okay, the head's just gonna stay right there. And this panel right here is supposed to cover up that head, and the head is supposed to tab onto some pegs right there. There are pegs right there. The chins or the cheek armor is supposed to tab in. It doesn't work as nicely on mine, but it's supposed to tab in right there. The arms, you're gonna fold out, just extend to form the side part of that trailer. You know where this thing is going. Go ahead and fold up the arms. You're supposed to rotate arms this way. These panels are going to fold up like that, and these small flaps are going to lock in those biceps. Okay, do the same on the other side. Go ahead and fold up and then rotate. Go ahead and lock in those biceps, and then these panels are going to fold up like that, and you can sort of see where this thing is going. Okay, right here we are going to, we're supposed to be able to rotate this, but wait, oh okay, fold this down, then you're going to swing this out, and then this waist piece is going to fold up like that. A lot of little steps, kind of reminds me of a masterpiece, but it's not enough to be annoying. Okay, so these are going to tab in right there. Okay, and these are supposed to tab in here, but we'll do that later. We'll do the legs first. The next annoying bit are the knees. So to do so, you want to fold these feet or leg panels up like this, just like how the G1 transformed. Now the instructions tell you to combine the legs right now, but my advice is don't. What you should be doing are the knees first. So the instructions tell you to just fold and fold back up. It's not very clear, but what it really is saying is there's another hinge right here, which you need to fold down, and then you have to fold the knee up. It looks easy now because it's the third, fourth time I'm doing it, but the first time you're doing it, it's very tight. Always tight the first time you do it, but second, third, fourth time, it's a lot easier and a lot more loose. So you just fold, okay, and then you fold it up like that. So essentially you're going to collapse the knee. It can be very annoying, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty cool. Okay, then you can, I guess you can tab the back waist skirt onto his rear end. Now you can tab the legs together. Just make sure it's straight. Okay, tab them together. Okay, these bits right here, they're gonna fold up and slide up, fold up and slide up. There's a lot of these small steps that can be annoying if you're not used to a very involved transformation. And again, like I said, it kind of reminds me of a masterpiece figure. So the shin pieces, you're gonna fold up and solidify that whole leg assembly, leg and waist hips assembly. And you're almost done, okay? At this point, what you wanna do is you wanna fold these up. You wanna tab these panels right there. Do the same on the other side. You can go ahead and combine the shoulder pieces. Go ahead and combine the forearms. Come on. Okay. Okay. And then these forearms are going to peg onto these leg panels. Just like the old G1 toy. We're almost done. Okay. What we need to do is to lower these wheels. It's nice that you're able to lift the wheels up in robot mode, so he's not on roller skates when he's in robot mode. So essentially it's a double hinge that you need to fold down. There are tabs right there that you're going to tab them onto. So they don't really snap in, they just kind of stay right there. So yeah, it's like a 2mm, 3mm clearance. Like that. Okay, and that now you can actually leave them like that in robot mode, but he'll be like on roller skates. So I love that they've added that. Okay, the front wheels, fold them out. These are kind of flimsy, much like the Earthrise Kingdom Optimus Prime wheels, but it's okay. Then last two things you need to do. This one, you need to fill out this gap. There was not a lot they could do with this gap right here. The gap was necessary because if you remember, the whole arm folds onto the shoulders. They needed that gap. So to fix that, they have this panel that kind of moves out, sort of kind of covers that gap, but not really. You can still see it right there. It's not a lot they could have done. I think this was it's a liability, or a weakness in the engineering, but it's okay. From up top, it looks pretty solid. All right, you can at this point put the weapons here. Instructions tell you you can start mounting the weapons here. They kind of make the top part wider, less skinny, right? And then these rocket launchers, just like the old toy, they can peg in here. It's a shame they can't really peg here. It's an option for the old toy. Okay. And that's about it. Last thing you want to do is just to pull out the cab. You can keep the cab and trailer in this position. It'll allow you to move the trailer solidly, but you're not going to be able to turn the cab. So what you need to do is you need to pull out the cab. That'll allow you to loosen the hinge. That way you can turn Ultra Magnus in his truck mode. And that is a cool looking G1 style Generations Ultra Magnus. I mean, come on. Before this figure, you needed to get the Masterpiece Ultra Magnus if you wanted a very accurate G1 style, very poseable Ultra Magnus. The Kingdom and Siege figures kind of did it, but they didn't do such a great job as this figure, because this figure just screams G1 Ultra Magnus, and I love it. Absolutely gorgeous. Really loving it. It rolls amazingly well, very, very smoothly. Autobots, roll out! Oh, I know you guys are already typing. I forgot to do this. My bad. Here we go. All right. My bad. All right. I know. Before you start typing like crazy, I know. I forgot to do that. Okay, there we go. And in alt mode, the instructions do say that you can put the other Studio Series 86 Deluxe class figures while they're in their car modes, Blur and Jazz, but it doesn't have to be limited to Studio Series 86 figures. I'm pretty sure other Generations figures will also fit in Ultra Magnus. For comparisons in alt mode, here he is with the Earthrise Kingdom Optimus Prime. At first glance, you'd think they're in scale, but they're actually not. Optimus is just way too small in scale. Obviously, he's leader class, this one's a commander class, but you know, in the cartoons, they were kind of in the same scale. So Hasbro, you gotta give us a commander class Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime. And here he is with the Kingdom leader class Ultra Magnus. No contest, obviously. He's so much better. Yeah, I mean, this one was good while it lasted, but now that we have this, obviously this is a more G1 accurate, and now I can see why a lot of collectors hated the alt mode with a Kingdom or Siege Ultra Magnus. Yeah, it's so far off from the G1 styled Ultra Magnus you can see right here. So yeah, if you really like Ultra Magnus, this is the one you want to pick up. And again, for comparison, here he is with my G1 vintage Ultra Magnus in truck mode, and you can see where the inspiration comes from. I think they did a fantastic job trying to replicate this old G1 look into Generations format. And like I said earlier, it's a shame they don't have an option to put the guns here, but that's really fine. I mean, just the similarities and the way they've migrated this design into Generations format is just uncanny. Both in robot mode and in truck mode, they're about the same height and the same length. That is crazy. And so some final thoughts on the Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus. Man, this figure completely blew me away. I really enjoyed this figure. I think The designers at Hasbro and Takaratomi really put a lot of time and effort and, dare I say, a lot of budget into producing this figure, which I do appreciate. The whole aesthetic and design of the figure is so nostalgic. It takes you back to the cartoons. This is truly the best G1 style Generations figure we've had of this character in a long time, and I don't know how they can top this. This is probably going to stay on the shelves of a lot of Generations collectors for a very, very long time. Transformation is a little bit involved. We got a couple of snags when transforming the cab and those horrible, horrible knee joints, but I don't think they're enough to detract you from really enjoying playing with this figure. And once you do the transformation properly, in the end, I think it's very satisfying. Articulation, yeah, these hinges right here could use some work. Don't know really how to fix it, but on my copy, I think I got lucky enough. It can hold certain poses when you move the arms outward, so it's not too bad. I love the colors, everything about this thing, the engineering and all that, really, really impressive. The figure is going to get a 10 out of 10 from me. If you're the hardcore G1 fan and you love these new updated Generations figures in the G1 style, you've got to pick up this figure. Definitely one of the best, and I think it's going to get my vote for Figure of the Year for the Transformers. Well, we'll have to wait and see. There's still a couple more figures coming out this year. We'll see if he wins it. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this Transformers Generations Studio Series 86 Commander Class Ultra Magnus. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.